you check the children? Show a little mad sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is what
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
And you got Jaime and Fuego here.
And we are back to talk about the talk about the fourth episode of Chucky, or to chalk about Chucky. That's what we're back to talk about. And
Chucky, yeah.
We were left on a bit of a cliffhanger last episode with Chucky cornering Lexi and getting caught up in the carnage that he had created with the fire all around him. And I'm like, yeah, well, she's going to get away because he's reveling in this bullshit. It didn't happen exactly the way I predicted, which was someone would rush up and save them. They kind of skipped past all that. They skipped right past all of that. So, Fuego, why don't you go ahead? Well, before we get into the story of it all, let's, of course, give our overall thoughts on this episode. I liked this episode. I thought it was good, but I thought we got past some conflict a little bit too easily, even though they used this episode to, like, draw out that conflict, but then they still got past it pretty easily. And they didn't get to the, none of the other people from Cult appeared. So I'm guessing it is going to be strictly the back half of the season, dealing with Andy and Kyle and everyone else. But this kind of surprised me that none of that entered the picture. I thought certain things happened a little too easily, but at the same time, I still dug the episode. What's nice is, again, this is an 8-episode, 8 to 10, we're not entirely sure, but we're guessing 8-episode series. Now we're halfway through, and the whole thing is evolving like the way a movie should. We had Chucky evolving a little bit, now his look is evolved, and now there's going to have to be some changes, because they're not going to go with a half-melted Chucky for the entire season. I thought he looked
cool, though, man.
I thought he did look cool. I thought he looked a little bit on the sloth derpy side because of the one eye that looked looked a little bit slothy from Goonies, but I thought it was still
at that one point. He's just like, man.
It's funny, whenever they mess with Chucky, it's always his left side, right? Because that's the side that got sliced in part 3, and now this is the side that gets melted. But nonetheless, it was still an interesting enough look. It was a different sort of look to Chucky. We've seen something similar, not quite like it, and so I enjoyed that. Overall, I enjoyed the episode. Now, Fuego, last time we spoke about episode 3, you were more excited about the show than you had been up to that point. So, how did this episode do for you?
This one took some steps back,
oh,
unfortunately,
no.
for me. Yeah,
two steps forward, I take 2 steps back.
Yeah. I mean, it was more so the last episode took 2 steps forward, and this one took 1 step back. I felt like they lost a little bit of steam with, as you mentioned, how they just kind of jump ahead just a wee bit, and it's really the aftermath, and
everyone's at the hospital already.
And yet Chucky quipping about how much he loves hospitals made me laugh a little bit, but I give them credit for at least showing the lingering effects of the fire for certain characters, most notably Junior and also Lexi's little sister. I thought that was very dramatically compelling, just thinking about, okay, survived, and of course Devin's totally fine, but whatever to that. And also some of the predictions our buddies CP and Cody made about team ups potentially happening. It seems like that is very obviously going to be going down.
He's the only one of us that had watched the Next Time On kind of thing, though.
Well, I watched Next Time, unfortunately, for this one. And because I was just watching on the YouTube TV, and it just with the commercials and everything, and so because at the end of the episode they're like Next Time On, and they give big hints as to what is coming, but nonetheless,
are those other? So look, you watched it, so spoilers to you guys that might not know what they're hinting at next episode. Are we getting some of the cult members coming in?
We have both the girls coming for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, they are both in the trailer.
Okay, so Fiona and Tiffany.
And Tiffany.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
right. I'm trying to remember Fiona Dourif's character's name. It's eluding me at this.
I don't know either. She's Charles Lee Ray at this point.
Yeah, and they're getting down on the hanky panky in the trailer, but in any event.
I mean, like I made a disgusting face, and then I remembered.
You're just like, oh.
Yeah, I'm like, ooh.
I mean, yeah, Tilly's got some experience from Bound. So,
Yeah, Bound, baby.
but,
Bound 2.
yeah,
Chucky.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
Chucky Boogaloo.
Chucky Boogaloo.
You know, one bit that I found surprisingly effective in this one, though, was the flashback stuff with a slightly older Charles Lee Ray, and especially the Easter egg of who he was grooming.
Eddie Caputo, baby.
Yeah, I was like, I know that name. And I had to, like,
the
do a
guy
little,
he kills. The guy that, it's the guy
his
that
old partner,
leaves
right?
him. Yeah, the guy that leaves him at the crime scene, and he blows up Eddie's house, and Eddie inside it when Andy takes him to the abandoned home and stuff like that. So yeah, Eddie Caputo. I love that. I was like, oh, that is the one friend that Charles Lee Ray had that we knew about, at least, you know. So I did like that too. Good call, Fuego. Good call.
Yeah, and the fact that he was like taking the kid under his wing at the group home, just like in the previous episode where the killer, you got guts, kid. I think that was what he said. He said the same thing to Eddie, and I thought that was interesting. And so yeah, the flashbacks worked better for me in this episode than I think they had, aside from the variant.
They were still oddly placed, though.
A little bit. Yeah.
Still oddly placed. I don't know what the deal with that is, but yeah, I did feel like they fit a little bit better, but they were still kind of oddly placed. But so yeah, and then
yeah, I liked it, but I wasn't as like ecstatic about it as the previous episode because it felt more like a bridge to what is gonna get as we inch closer to the final conflict. It felt more like a epilogue sort of episode in some ways, and also the conveniences of people forgiving each other, and also when Lexi finds out, you know, what's been going on, and then she's just like a little more quickly forgiving than I was.
A little bit too quickly. Like at first she has the right reaction, like you fucking psycho, and then she but then the next time they see each other, it's like, I don't like it, but I get it, and like, okay, I mean I guess we're just moving the plot right along.
We are. And then we've got a little bit of parental conflict, you know, criticism from Lexi's parents, once again, butting heads with the Devon Sawa uncle and his wife, you know, Junior's parents. And so I thought that was, it wasn't terribly acted, you know, their little scuffle that they got into. Sawa continues to impress me, man, as this kind of resurgence that he's having. I think he's good in the show.
His character took a weird misstep, I thought, in this episode. He became a bit more unlikable. I can't remember exactly why.
Was it the bit where he's like, Junior, do you really like cross?
Yeah, he's like clearly imparting what he thinks Junior should like. And so I was like, that's an odd choice for a character that's supposed to be kind of a bit of a savior to Jake, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he was showing more shades of his brother in that scene, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a little weird. So, Fuego, hit the story.
Yeah, so the story is essentially the aftermath of the fire that Chucky set at Lexi's party, and also also Devon's mother, just being the detective, getting closer and closer to just shaking down Jake and, you know, trying to pin all of this stuff on him, and including accusing him of starting the fire despite not
when he wasn't even being at the party.
He wasn't even at the party, you know. And she's also very skeptical about Chucky, and there are all of the victims who were able to escape with their lives, you know, the aforementioned Lexi's younger sister and Junior, and how they're injured and they're on respirators. And so yeah, we do see the after effects to a relatively grisly degree. Not a lot of Chucky in this episode, at least Chucky in the present, at least until Lexi and Jake kind of bury the proverbial hatchet, so to speak, after the revelation of her being like, yeah, so he is alive. And she's like, God damn. And she's like, no, fuck. She's like, yeah, we have a living deadly doll on our hands. And, you know, then she confronts Jake and is like, why did you drop it off to my house? Knowing that, then he's like, well, because he was going to kill you. And that was the bit of them getting over things relatively quickly. They go back to investigate the burned remains of her home, and that's where we finally get some Chucky about halfway through the episode, at least Chucky in present day as the doll. And then it just kind of goes
Two-Face Chucky for
sure. And there's a cop there that basically takes Chucky and, you know, makes them leave the property. Chucky ends up at the hospital, and that's where we finally get some Chucky action. Okay kill. I mean, nothing too impressive. I mean, the kills in this show, none have really wowed me immensely.
But this wasn't as
about it.
big of a misstep as the kill in the last one.
Yeah,
Like,
although
did you
I
notice
did
what they
see-
did different?
Yeah.
They kept it on Chucky. He was stabbing out of frame. It didn't
noticed.
show him stabbing the character because it doesn't look right. They kept him out of frame, and it didn't look great because it wasn't a close-up of his hand with the thrust and stuff, but it still looked better than last episode.
Yeah, and since you and Cody mentioned that when, well, both in our review for episode 3 and when we guested with those guys now, I almost can't unsee it. And so when the kill happened in this episode, I was like just looking very intently and analyzing the shot as best I could. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's totally what I was doing. So yeah, it wasn't too bad in that regard. And we have the aforementioned team up, which is presumably happening between Lexi and Jake and Devin being the true crime person that he is. He goes and does some investigation, and he basically tells Lexi the story of Charles Lee Ray, and they do get a little revisionist history, and it's like, yeah, they called him the
Lakeshore Strangler.
Lakeshore Strangler, and he's like, but the thing
But
is,
he didn't strangle
he didn't even really strangle anybody. And
I was like, what? He
I thought that was funny.
He uses the wire and at least curse, and then I thought he kind of strangled the guy in Child's Play 2, the corporate worker, but it was more suffocating him with the plastic bag.
Yeah, that's what I was
Suffocation, strangling. I mean, it's not terribly
I mean,
far
you're
off.
like you're cutting off the air to.
Yeah. I was a little bothered by that, honestly. Like
I was wondering what you think.
he was supposed to be a analog of like there was a legitimate strangler killer in the real world.
Greasy Strangler.
Not the Greasy Strangler. I almost said that. But there was a strangler in, I think, the LA area, and the Lakeshore Strangler was modeled after that. And it's like the Lakeshore Strangler just happened to be a murderous son of a bitch that was into voodoo and managed to salvage his soul into the body of a doll. I'm like, that's such a great basic formula for a good horror movie, and that's what Child's Play was. But now, to say that the Lakeshore Strangler wasn't even why would he ever be called the Lakeshore Strangler if he wasn't strangling his victims? That doesn't make any sense. That's such a weird kind of retcon. I was not a fan of that. And yet I know Mancini writes it, right? So like
he wrote every episode.
I do not get what the impetus was for that change.
Mm-hmm. Well, now I feel like I have to look to see if he wrote every episode or not.
Yeah, well, let's be
I'm
real,
looking
right
really.
about that.
I'm looking real. He did not write 3 or 4.
Oh.
Yeah, he wrote the first episode, co-wrote second episode. He does write 5 and 6, but I would imagine he was still in the writer's room, even if he's not getting credit for scripts for 3 and 4. So I guess that is what it is. But
Maybe so.
yeah. So
all right. So yeah, I mean, it was an interesting way to take the story. It was way too convenient with Lexi and Jake making up and everyone kind of
smoothing
teaming
things
up.
over with the
Yeah,
quickness.
I mean, it was super quick. So that part is a little bit rocky for me, but it's still Brad Dourif, Chucky on a weekly basis, and I can't say that I have an overall problem with it. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, and he still had some funny quips. The one that comes to mind right now is where he describes Lexi as a Karen with training wheels.
Yes!
I thought that shit was really funny.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good dialogue bits. I mean, it's not all gold, but Chucky has had a lot of really good stuff in the last couple of episodes.
Yeah,
And
solid one-liners and just assessments, man.
yeah, and I think that's great. I think that's
very true to character.
Yeah, very true to character, very well deserved writing wise, and I'm just enjoying it. Now, again, the show is filmed great. It's a high budget practice, at least as far as TV shows go. I know it's a sci-fi TV show, but and USA, so there's obviously money behind it, and it looks great. It does look like a great show. The acting, I feel like, was, again, these kids are doing the best they can with what they've got. So if we have a problem with the material and the way the story is playing out, we can't blame the characters and the actors for that. They're simply doing what the script tells them. We can blame the script people, the writers and whatnot, but I feel like the acting, all the kids carried their own in this one. I didn't have the issues that I did in the past episodes in this one.
Yeah, I've defended Jake a lot, and yet in this episode, I think there was at least maybe a few lines of dialogue with his expressions where it came off just a little hammy to me. But yeah, the facial expressions really.
They're all over the place.
Yeah. But aside from that, yeah, I didn't really see a lot of weak links. As I mentioned the parents earlier, even if I can agree with you about Sawa's character taking a little bit of a turn as far as the controlling father goes, I still felt like all of the adults, including Devon's mother, when she's grilling Jake at the end of the episode, I thought that was a very effective scene. And so, yeah, I mean, acting is not the sort of subpar that you would have expected in years past from a Sci-Fi Channel original. So
Agreed. So, I mean, effects in this episode we got to touch on, right? Because there's more practical stuff, and that is Chucky, right? There's Chucky is a whole different look. Half of his face is melted from the fire. The fact that he's standing there enjoying the fire in the last episode apparently resulted in him getting two-faced and completely burning up, which that doesn't make any sense. No. Like, it would make way more sense if they had a scene of him still taking in and laughing at the fire, and then Lexi literally shoving him into the fire and running out of the room, and that's how she escapes, and that's how he gets half burned. Boom. Okay, great. That's an explanation for both. I'm happy. But we didn't get that.
No, and they should have shown us something. You know, and she even just passingly references, like, yeah, the last time I saw him, he was trying to kill me, and you're just like, oh, okay, so how did you get away?
Yeah,
I mean,
we'll just tiptoe right over that. Yeah.
No need to give any further explanation. Not at all. I'm short of it.
So how are you feeling going forward from here, Fuego? I'm guessing we're halfway through.
Yeah.
You liked the last episode. You liked where it was leading, and then you felt like this one took a step back. So how are you feeling regarding the future of Chucky?
Well, I mean, based on the spoilers that we have in the promo for the next episode, I'm much more excited, at least for the potential of finally bridging that gap.
Okay.
Than I was. But yeah, this one, it felt very much like just a kind of stopgap between the first half of the season, and if this is the back half of the season, the final 4 episodes now, between 5, 6, 7, and 8, I'm very curious how much cult stuff will be addressed besides just those 2 characters. I really want some revelations about all of those other Chuckies, to be fair, and the whole.
I don't think we're gonna get it.
Maybe not. If there's, if they're not gonna address Lexi's escape, I mean, who's to say that they're gonna give an extensive explanation? But
we'll see,
man.
though.
I mean, I'm hopeful though. I still don't think that there has been a bad episode of this show. It's just been variations of how much I liked it, I guess.
They've all been 6s and 7s, pretty much. I wouldn't necessarily put him. There have been moments that are 8s, but the episodes as a whole they've been pretty steadily 6s and 7s, which is not to say D ranking. That is generally
no, not at all.
That's like on an above average, like where 5's the average and 6s and 7s above average.
No. I would say every episode has been solidly entertaining. So. Yeah, especially for fans of the series. So.
Yeah, so why don't you guys let us know in the comments down below, what are you thinking of the Chucky series? I appreciate you sticking through this review all the way to this point. If you have, we greatly appreciate it. This weekend, we're going to be presenting a commentary. Marcia and I did a commentary of the new Paranormal Activity movie, so that'll probably go up on Friday, so you guys can pull it up on Paramount Plus and watch it along with us. We quite enjoyed the movie, so I think you guys are going to have a good time. And then Fuego, Marcia, and I are going to review said movie this Sunday, so look for that review going forward. And then this very Sunday, we are going to be doing our review roundup, which is going to be a massive review roundup, likely 2 to 3 hours long, because we're covering everything that came out in September and October. And you guys know there was a ton of stuff in that time, both TV series and movies, and we're going to be covering it all. So make sure you tune back in this coming Sunday and tune in Friday for the commentary of Paranormal Activity. But until then, I want to say thank you, Fuego, for joining for this little review. We've been doing all the Chucky stuff, and I'm quite enjoying it. Honestly, every episode is at least worth a small discussion. So let us know what your thoughts are on this down below. And Fuego, what do you want to say to our patrons?
Most definitely, grande gracias. I don't know what you're alluding
Yep, that's what
to,
I'm fishing for. Yep,
yeah.
you got it.
All right.
So just say thank you to our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. We
Damn breezy.
greatly appreciate it. And until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
And I have been Jaime and Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.
Scared.